So in my opinion, the coach has to have a credential. I don't care what it is, but for them to be insured, they need to show a base minimum level of experience, and that is a current certification.
Yes, I agree. I think that's fair.
So what's the next thing that matters to you? If you're meeting someone off the street, you're doing a free intro with them, you're sitting down and talking to them, deciding whether you should work with them or not.
So I have a couple of things here. It's nothing too hard, like you were just getting at with a certification,
Mm-hmm.
but also I think equally important. And one of the things I have listed here are basically, do they come across as someone who is basically a know-it-all or open-minded?
Yeah.
I think I don't remember exactly what how the saying goes, but it's something along the lines of, the closer you get to being a master at something, the more you realize that you don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And I think that really rings true, at least in the sense of being, like I said, open-minded. So when I see somebody in any discipline, but we'll stick to the gym, saying that there's only one way to do something, or this
Yep.
is the best program, or the only, approach or fix to your problems, that's when I start. That's a red flag for me. That's a huge red flag,
Yeah.
regardless of what it is. Even if I agree that the thing that they're saying is a good thing, you just have to be you have to be aware enough that it's not the only thing, and it's not appropriate 100% of the time in all scenarios with everybody.
So I'm going to put a word to it. I'm going to use the word rigidity.
Okay.
So if they have one program, one diet, one exercise, that's how it is, that's how it's always going to be. I agree with you. I can't like express this enough across all industries
Yes,
because
exactly.
different people, different program, different diet, different body type, there's so many things that go into it. There are like I would argue that there are principles of strength and conditioning that are true all the time no matter what.
Principles. Yeah.
Right. But how you handle those principles is up to you.
Yeah. It's really like, I'm not a religious person really, but it's like the Ten Commandments.
Yep.
It's pretty much always true that you shouldn't kill somebody. you know,
Yeah.
how you live your life not killing people is up to you, but you just shouldn't
That's
kill
right.
people.
Yeah.
And so there's certain principles of strength and conditioning. I agree. How you
We should
implement them,
definitely talk about that at some time. Trying to come up with like
th-
the
those
10
principles.
unbreakable laws of strength and conditioning.
Yeah, I mean that would be pretty fun.
So I think that you should also have the availability if this person is training people. I think having them be open to you talking to their other trainees is a
That was on
green
my,
flag.
that was on my list too. Not how you articulated it, but more so what are their other trainees? What are they saying, and how are they acting?
Testimonials.
Yeah, testimony, not necessarily anything formal, but
Mhm.
if you have a chance to interact with them, how are they? Like, are they very positive about their experience? Are they negative just in general? Like, might not be directly associated to the trainer, but it could be a part of it.
Yeah, and I would like to point out too that people tend to stick with people of their own kind, right? So if I go to a gym and people look and act like me, maybe that works out, but don't let that stop you from working with a good trainer or a good coach. You
Yeah.
know, just because you don't feel like you fit in immediately doesn't mean you don't actually fit in. So your commonality with people is that you like to be healthy.
Hmm.
So that's one thing that almost everyone should be able to find in common.
Yeah. Agreed.
So, I mean, I had a couple other notes down, like how healthy is your trainer? That's important to me.
That's super important. I think, it is tough because, like, I think about a basketball coach.
Hmm.
There's tons of good basketball coaches who can't play the sport themselves necessarily. At
Well,
least,
remember they don't teach the individual how to play basketball. They teach the team how to win at basketball.
that's true. That's a good point. I'm not that I know a whole lot about basketball, anyways, so I don't really know how the coaching itself works. But regardless, I think you can be like an Olympic coach, Olympic lifting coach. You could be a great Olympic lifting coach and not be able to do it anymore because
Yeah.
you're older and your body's just not working that way. But I agree though. If I'm picking myself a trainer, I'm absolutely going to look at like how do they look and how are they living their life, you know?
Yeah, I think that's more important to me. How are they living their life? If they have a gut, or they're overweight, I don't really care so much as long as I know that they have a movement practice.
Yeah, well, also like where are they coming from too? They might have a
Yeah.
gut, but it might be a much smaller gut than a year ago.
Right. And that's something I'll never know until I commit already.
You wouldn't, yeah. But
But
no,
finding out what they do is super important.
I would be lying if I said that I didn't look at how they physically appear because that's a
Yeah.
fairly good indication of how somebody is doing. But also, there's plenty of people who look super healthy and are just like hopped up on like soda and candy all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Genetics are real. So
So from there, I would put that into a professionalism category, right? So do they walk the walk a little bit?
yeah,
Are they non-rigid? Do they sound like people you could have a cup of coffee with on Friday or Thursday? Someone you would actually want to hang out with. Um, what do their clients have to say about them? How do their clients look? And then I put cost. I want somebody, for me, they have to be above cheap. I don't necessarily want to pay. So if I'm working with a trainer one-on-one, Ty, like you're my trainer, I don't want you to say, "Oh, it's $20 an hour for a personal training session." If
yeah,
you work at a Globo gym and I'm paying the Globo gym and they're like, "Oh, it's $20 an hour for personal training," I'm a little more likely to lean on that because it's a big corporate blah
yeah,
blah blah entity. But if there's an individual trainer training that much, they can't make a living off of that.
yeah, for sure. They can't make a living off of that. I think price is a fair one to include. That would be the same. I don't know how somebody who doesn't know anything about the industry would perceive that, but I would definitely be looking bare minimum, anybody charging like 60 or 70 bare minimum.
Yeah.
You know? Like
And the
that's
same is true for that top end. I don't want anyone coming in telling me it's going to be, $200 an hour for the first whatever. Too expensive to me means that this person, they're not for me. They're not
yeah,
my kind of trainer.
yeah. Also, yeah, for sure. There could be some sort of business practice going on there where they know you're not going to stick around, so they're just trying to get as much out of you in a couple sessions as they can. Who knows? But yeah, there's a sweet spot. There's a sweet spot for price, and for me, it's probably somewhere between that 60 to 100
Yeah.
range. You know?
Yeah, that's exactly what I would want to pay. I mean, it's a little different. Like a business mentor, I could see the rate being a little bit higher for like one-on-one time.
Yeah,
But you can't buy back your health. You can't. It's impossible.
yeah,
So this is more of an investment in yourself than it is a cost. Like, oh, I have to pay $70 an hour for 2 or 3 days a week. Like you can literally regain 5, 10, 15 years of your life from working with a good coach. And if you work with a bad coach, you can lose it.
yeah. And there's one more thing I would put into the professionalism category that we kind of touched on already, kind of deals with open-mindedness, but I'll just throw it in there. And that is if there are other trainers in the gym or if there are other gyms nearby, how does your trainer talk about those?
Oh, that's a great point.
You know what I
That's
mean?
a great point.
What is their relationship like with those people? But not necessarily, they don't have to be buddy buddy, but how do they speak of their peers basically? If there's somebody who's just talking down on everybody else in their gym or more likely other gyms around them, then that's a red flag for me. Anyways, it's not open-minded.
Yeah.
Uh, it has that know-it-all feel to it, and in any profession, that's not a professional way to carry yourself.
No, that's a scarcity mindset.
Yeah, exactly.
A scarcity mindset. So that's something that I would say you're looking for a more evolved trainer. And as an adult, I feel like I want a trainer who's a grown up like me.
Yeah,
I say like me, like I don't like watching cartoons and eating cereal on a Saturday morning, but I want somebody who's a little bit just more relaxed, low key.
yeah. And I think if you're listening to this and you're saying, okay, well, how exactly do any of these things tie into someone being a good trainer or not? Like you could be a great trainer and talk really bad about everybody, right?
Yeah.
Why can't you have both? But I think just from our personal experiences, we each have about 10 years in this industry, just being around. You notice correlations, and that's
Yeah.
all it is. These are just correlations that we're picking up on. Generally, the good trainers and the good coaches tend not to talk bad about people all the time behind their backs and stuff like
I
that.
would say I would put them in the best category,
Yeah.
right? Because if you worry about what other people are doing, you're not focusing on your own, you don't need to be like that,
Yeah.
to be the best.
Yeah. So I agree with our list here. Having a certification, not being super rigid. Um, what are their clients? How are they acting? What are they saying? How are they feeling? And that open, not talking bad about your peers, basically. I
Yeah,
think
how they interact with their peers.
that's a pretty good list, right?
That's a solid list, and I'm gonna start paying attention to those things every time I'm with a client.